So.
Okay.
So.
Because what I'm thinking is we'll, I'll send you the draft rules off air because you're not going to edit this and you're going to leave this on, and this is how the show's going to start like it was last week.
That's why I was like, why are you still talking?
It's like a 10. In 5, 4, 3, 2, Take a Wrestling Podcast.
Why'd you do a countdown?
Because why? This is for the podcast version, probably. Anyway.
Why did you rip through the countdown like it was like 5, 4, 3, 2,
we're now 27 seconds into the show.
He did it like Shaggy. On 5, 4, and then 3, 2, 1.
Bro,
you really should probably just stop recording and then re-record.
Well, I don't have to. God damn it! Leave this on. Fuck it, leave it on.
Let's just keep going.
Yeah, fuck it. You know what I mean? So anyway, first off, Joe, Mike, Joe, this is the most awake I've ever seen you in this podcast.
Yeah. I don't know. I just finished cooking dinner and I just finished cleaning and I'm here.
Mike,
let's go.
How's baseball today?
How did you cook dinner at 11 o'clock at night? That's impressive.
No, I cooked dinner at like 9 o'clock at night.
Oh, okay. Baseball was very wet. It rained from about the 5 minutes before first pitch until the game was called due to rain. I think we're gonna get fucked out of a win though. So stay tuned for next week's show where I tell you how badly I'm pissed off at everyone.
Oh boy. Anyway, today we conclude our Take 3 all-time tag team tournament bracket. We're gonna call it. The final four is here.
To say.
Yeah, I can't wait to conclude this thing. It's gonna be fun.
To quote the great Samuel L. Jackson, English, motherfucker. Do you speak it?
Half asleep, but sorry. Anyway, so we're going to conclude that at the very far end of the show. I'm looking forward to hearing Joe's topic today because I got a lot to share on that one. Let's go to my topic first. I think the topic should go first because Daniel Bryan is supposedly a free agent now. After his loss to Roman Reigns last week on SmackDown, his contract expired. And I just want to open a discussion about Daniel Bryan's legacy because I believe this story can go anywhere. I can see three things happening, and it will make sense. I can see him retiring just because he's want to be home with his family. I could see him deciding to maybe take a year off and then maybe go another promotion, Ring of Honor, maybe who knows. I could see him as always come back. And Mike, as you stayed last week, you think he goes to Raw?
I've come back from that approach and I've gone somewhere else. But
so let's open a discussion about his future and what he means to the WWE and wrestling fans alike. Because I wasn't so obviously knew about Daniel Bryan through the years, didn't get to watch much of his stuff until the last 2 years. Obviously,
that'll change slightly, like come September, October-ish, where we sit here and make you watch old school Ring of Honor.
Oh yeah.
So you gonna tie me down to a chair?
If we need to, we'll do it Clockwork Orange style.
Yeah. No, but there is Daniel Bryan is probably the most impactful wrestler probably the last 10, 15 years, right? If you think about it. Like I've only watched this guy really consistently for 2 years, and I'm already comfortable saying that he's easily top 20, top 15 superstar all time in WWE. Easily.
Yeah. So first, I don't know what you mean by impactful, so I have a hard time agreeing with that just because I don't know. Like what do you mean by impactful? Like, what's impactful to you? Because like, has he been a success in WWE? Obviously, and yeah. I'll get into my fandom of Daniel Bryan after this, but I felt like this was a moment to jump in because I don't know what you mean by impactful. Because impactful, like, is Roman Reigns impactful in WWE today? Is Drew McIntyre? Like, what is impactful to you?
I'll tell you this much. The fact I knew who he was in 2012, 13, 14, not even watching the product whatsoever, I knew who he was. He was the only newer wrestlers I knew who the name of between 2010, 2015, 16.
Okay.
Maybe CM Punk would be the other one. That's it.
Okay. So, okay.
And sustainability, too, but with the injury, of course. But
Right. So, look, and if for all 7 of our regular listeners, you've heard me tell this story before, and you're going to hear it again. Daniel Bryan's been one of my favorite wrestlers since 2002. Since he was probably about, I think we're almost like the same age, to be perfectly honest.
He's 40 in 2 weeks, for the record.
Yeah, right. So, like, I'm 38. So, like, I was probably, in 2002, I was like 19.
You were old.
He was probably like 22 himself or 21 or whatever. Anyway, math. So, I became a big fan of his just seeing his work on Ring of Honor, watching their DVDs from their early shows. I became a huge fan of his. And I remember a time when I thought that I'd never get to see him wrestle live because he was, for a short period of time, around 2004 or so, mostly working over in Japan, mostly working with Pro Wrestling Noah. And he wasn't really coming and touring the States that much. He wasn't coming to do Ring of Honor shows. So there was a show, it was, I think, Glory by Honor 2 or something like that, in 2004 at the Rexplex in Elizabeth, New Jersey. I don't even know if that's still there anymore. I know it doesn't host wrestling shows anymore, and Bryan was on the show. He was scheduled to be on the show. And I literally was like, okay, I have to figure out getting to see this show because this may be my only opportunity in 2004. This may be my only opportunity to ever see Daniel Bryan wrestle live. So I go, I do that. He's amazing. I don't even remember who he wrestled that night, but it was great. Fast forward, I've literally seen him in every setting possible. I've seen him wrestle in front of 70 people at an Evolve show in Union City, New Jersey. I've seen him win the world title at WrestleMania, in front of like 70,000 people, whatever that the Sky Dome was that time. So,
Superdome.
Brother. So, all I'm saying is I've seen this man. I've probably seen him wrestle live like 100 times, if not more than that, between all the Ring of Honor shows. He wrestled sometimes on Chikara. He wrestled in Evolve. He wrestled, obviously, in WWE. I've seen him at WrestleMania and stuff. For me, I would list him as like my second favorite wrestler of all time. And the only person that gets ahead of him is literally the person who trained him, and that's Shawn Michaels. And I think what's really interesting about Daniel Bryan more than anything else, and this might go into what you were saying about impactful, he was someone who shouldn't have made it. He was someone who we were told since day one, I'm pretty sure he was signed very early in his career to like developmental and then left that and then went into Ring of Honor and, all the indie stuff. He was a guy who we were told early on, he's not the guy that makes it into WWE. He's not the guy that becomes world champion. He's not the size of a John Cena or a Randy Orton or a Batista. Basically, all those guys came up at the exact same time. You had those guys working in Florida Championship Wrestling while Daniel Bryan's over there working in Ring of Honor and stuff. So you've got, they're part of the same generation of wrestlers. And we don't really think about that very often because they're so different from each other.
When they debuted also, too, in WWE.
Right, exactly. And this is the thing, right? Like, Daniel Bryan, even before he was in WWE, I think there was a case for him being one of the greatest of all time. Just based on his Ring of Honor work, based on his run as Ring of Honor World Champion, based on his entire series of matches with Nigel McGuinness and Takeshi Morishima and all of that. I think you already had a case. Then he comes to WWE, and he's awesome right off the bat. He has a great match with Chris Jericho, his first night in NXT. He's does all this amazing stuff. Then he gets fired. And it's like, okay, wait, what just happened? And then I get to see him live a couple of times for Evolve. And then he's back in WWE. And before you know it, he's world champion. Look, this guy literally, and I love The Miz. I do. I'm a Miz fan. But I don't expect a lot out of The Miz. I think The Miz has had 2 feuds that can actually be called legitimately great 5-star level feuds. One was against Dolph Ziggler for the Intercontinental title over on SmackDown in 2016. And the other one's been going on for about 12 years, and it's with Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
Like, that alone, like, that legacy right there is everything to me. And his narrative has been amazing, honestly, in every way. The fact that even when he was a heel going up against Kofi Kingston, where he was basically throwing out the same diatribe that he would always receive from Triple H and all of them about how, oh, you're just not good enough, you're a B+ player and all that. Like, they played that perfectly. He's so versatile, and he's honestly just amazing. And obviously, like, in-ring work-wise, he's incredible. I'll let you guys talk and then share what I think he's going to happen with his career from here, because obviously I've rambled enough. But obviously, like I said, Daniel Bryan, my second favorite wrestler of all time. He could one day be my first favorite wrestler. Like, I don't know. You know, I mean, his career is still going. Shawn Michaels isn't. But Daniel Bryan, like, I don't know. He's incredible. He really is. And he's kind of hot. He is. What?
I mean, if you're into that.
He got into that. He got the American booty.
I love that for you, for the record.
Jesus. All
Jesus.
right, so
nice setup for you, Mike. Top that.
Yeah, I won't.
I would.
I know
Lord.
you would.
Show over.
Yeah, game over. No. When it comes to, and I'm gonna break down the fourth wall here. When it comes to the American Dragon, Mr. I'm gonna kick your fucking head in. Yeah, this guy has been a guy that I've watched pretty much as long as Joe has. I haven't seen him as live because Ring of Honor didn't come to Virginia very often.
Yeah, I had the benefit of being in New York City, and yeah.
But yeah, when you look at the career so far that is Daniel Bryan, arguably the third biggest moment in WrestleMania history, the WrestleMania 30 winning the world title. And I would probably even put it second. The only moment that I think is bigger is Taker losing to Brock at the same show.
What's funny too is, like, I think Bryan losing to Kofi is also one of the probably like top 5 or 10 moments in WrestleMania history.
Yeah, so I mean, whenever you can be involved in 2 of the top probably 7 moments in WrestleMania history, that says something about you. And one of them pre-injury, one of them post-injury, and the comeback and all of that.
I forgot about that too. Like, just the fact that his career was over 4 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we thought we were never going to see him wrestle again. And we've seen him become world champion again. And then work his way into every 3-way match, like, possible.
Quick question. The heel turn he had after he came back, was that his first heel turn ever?
No, I mean, he was a heel in ROH for a while.
Was he really? Okay.
Yeah, he's definitely had heel moments in his career. It's funny because he is someone who literally can pull off both characters perfectly.
Yeah. At the time, the last ever Ring of Honor Pure Wrestling champion, before they re-brought that title back out during the pandemic. When you look at a guy who could go in ring, there's not a guy that I would put on my short list of who I think is going to get a 5-star match out of more than Dragon. That's a guy that I would. I need a 5-star match from someone. All right, cool. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go put Bryan in the ring because I think Bryan's the one that's going to get me that match, and I agree with it wholeheartedly. When it comes to where we go from here, that's a lot of questions. Obviously, there's so many people that don't think he'll ever wrestle anywhere outside of WWE. And I kind of hold that as my hope because WWE did good by him while he was out, took care of him, kept his wife on payroll for a while, probably was paying all of his medical bills and stuff like that. They probably helped him out find the right doctors and stuff like that, and when Bryan made the comeback, and I know they showed this on Total Bellas, it was I can't get cleared because they wanted him to jump through hurdles to get cleared, and it was because they knew that if they cleared him without making him jump through hurdles, we wouldn't know if we would still have Daniel Bryan.
Right.
Because he had to completely change his offensive game plan.
Yes.
He went from a guy who diving headbutt, jumping over the top rope, doing all kinds of crazy shit to kind of not going as crazy, with the unnecessary head trauma.
Going for a lot more of the technical stuff, doing a lot more of the like the Kurt Angle, Chris
submission
Benoit
holds.
level wrestling.
Yeah, and I think that's been a key to his now duration staying around. Because if you go back and you can go back and look at his matches, his fight without honor against Takeshi Morishima and stuff like that, where like fucking their eye socket like almost like dislodged.
Yeah,
like those guys, for a lack of a better word here, they beat the absolute fuck out of each other.
Yeah.
And you're doing that at a Ring of Honor show in Hammerstein Ballroom, probably making what? He was probably the co-main event that night, so he probably made like $4,000.
Yeah, maybe.
Plus whatever he sold for himself in merchandise. If they were letting him sell his own merchandise, I think at that point everything was going through Ring of Honor.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think Ring of Honor was doing that.
So I mean, it's legitimately one of those things where it's like, if that guy was willing to beat the piss out of himself for that payday, like, yeah, that guy could go in ring. That guy should be a guy that you build your company around. If for some reason he goes somewhere else and is not part of WWE come tomorrow, the only place I want to see him go is Ring of Honor, because I'd love for him to finish where he started. I don't want him in AEW because I think Tony Khan would fuck him up royally. I don't trust Tony Khan booking him. I'm petrified of what he's going to do if Samoa Joe goes there. I am beyond fucking petrified of that situation, because at the end of the day, he's already fucked up Miro.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. He's trying this whole, reunion that's going to blow up in his fucking face. Yeah, I personally, and I saw this on Twitter. I'm going to discuss it real quick, and we'll move on from it, because this is not a fucking AEW fucking topic. Never again should Michael Nakazawa have the Impact fucking world title.
Thank you.
And not fucking Kenny Omega.
Thank you. I literally argued that with somebody today.
If you're in a business relationship with the company, at least have the goddamn respect to have their title on the guy who's the champion. Put it on his shoulder, make him wear it behind his back, fucking attach it to his hip. I don't give a shit. Don't give the fucking title belt to Michael Nakazawa.
I saw the same thing yesterday when I was like, what the fuck? Why is that title like? And that's how you know, like, where is Impact actually benefiting from this partnership? I mean, it's not a topic we're talking about now, but that shit bothered me last night.
Yeah, where they're benefiting from is the fact that Kenny Omega was on that pay-per-view and they sold probably double the amount of pay-per-views because he was
there. That is it.
I mean, that's a lot. It's a lot of money.
Oh, yeah, of course. Bottom line.
I don't know. It's like the belts are props, whatever. Naito fucking beat the Intercontinental title until it needed fucking Child Protective Services to be called on it.
But the difference is Tetsuya Naito is a member of the New Japan roster. He's signed to that company.
Fair.
They're paying him to destroy their property.
Right.
Fair.
That's the only argument that I have on that.
Back to DB.
So what I'll say is, in terms of what I think happens from here with Bryan, I'm assuming he's just going to end up re-signing with WWE. And it seems like he's wanted, or he's taken a backstage role in creative a lot recently. Like, we've heard that he was involved in a lot of people's pushes on SmackDown. He's the reason Drew Gulak was getting kind of a decent push. That's why they had a match with each other at one point. He might be the guy who's behind the Cesaro push at the moment. Like, yeah, exactly. So, it seems like he wants to transition into that role, and I think it'd be a perfect role for him because, honestly, he's been through every avenue of this business. He's been through the indies. He's been in WWE. He's married to one of the most successful female wrestlers, like, of all time, financially at the very least, I'm sure. And, there's probably a lot that he can bring to the table creatively that, even if it's just as an agent, and I don't mean just, like, not to devalue that, but as an agent, as someone who's, like, helping to book the matches, book the different things that go on, book the finishes and stuff, Bryan has so much experience. I bet he can do a lot with that. Because he's also the kind of guy that I'm guessing probably watches a lot of wrestling, like, besides being a wrestler. Like, I'm not going to be surprised if he's one of the wrestlers who's up on like Will Ospreay matches in New Japan, or like is watching Kenny Omega matches.
Oh, yeah, he's been complimentary on AEW last couple of weeks. Interviews he's been doing last week or so. He's been complimentary on AEW, talking about Young Bucks and
like, he was talking about how like Kenny Omega, like what he's doing is on a different plane
and
than
the Bucks
what
and all that shit.
we're doing. Right. And that might be the kind of thing, like he was saying that because he's contract negotiating with WWE, so it's like, let me put that out there. Yeah. Right, exactly. But it's also like, it's also true. Like he has a very creative mind, and so he sees these things, and I'm not surprised by that. I'm also not surprised that he watches all these different things. So I think he's going to end up re-signing with WWE. I'm hoping still in the ring, if he can still go, if he still is healthy and still wants to. Now, here's the thing, right? This is a guy who, like I said before, like his career was over 4 years ago. He thought it was done. He wanted to come back, but he thought it was done. He's gotten his comeback. He's gotten his moment. He's gotten the world championship. He's gotten big moments at WrestleMania. He's kind of done everything you can do again. So if he decided at this point, you know what, like my health is still pretty decent. It's time for me to step away, like raise my kids, you know, have sex with my hot wife. I'm not going to exactly be angry at him about that. I feel like that's a very valid decision to possibly make. But I do think he's going to be involved in WWE in some capacity. Because here's the thing. As much as some of us would love to see him in New Japan or see him show up in ROH or something like that, do I think that a guy with young children and a wife who probably doesn't want him away that much, do I think that he's signing up and doing matches over in New Japan? No, probably not, you know? And if he did, it would probably be like the Chris Jericho thing where he went over like once or twice and had like the big matches that you can have, and then that was kind of it, you know? No, I think at this point, Daniel Bryan's a lifer with WWE. I mean, like I said, look, the man was trained by Shawn Michaels. I think that he was always destined to be a lifer with WWE. Like, even though he wasn't in the WWE for most of the 2000s, even though he was in ROH, you know, and that whole scene until about 2010, and then made it into WWE, it's like it always felt like he was going to end up there. And those of us who were fans of his were always a little afraid of what would happen when he ended up there. And some of us felt like our fears were realized when, you know, Sheamus was beating him in 28 seconds at WrestleMania. And then we've turned around and we've gotten to see so much better from him. So, like, you know, it's been a roller coaster, and it's been kind of a fun ride. And I hope it's not over, personally.
Like, I'm with you. I think, gun to my head, he's WWE. Like I said, I tweeted today, like he's a lifer. This feels like a lifer. But but the thing is, if he decides to retire and just be a dad and a husband, that wouldn't surprise me.
No, if he goes to at it.
Yeah, if he goes to ROH, would not surprise me at all. Anything he does would not surprise me, because this is like one of the most open-ended situations of a wrestler we've probably ever seen. Well, like anything he does would not be a shock.
I personally hope that he ends up at the NXT brand, working with Shawn and Triple H, and works as an on-air talent to face like Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong and shit like that. And
that wouldn't stop me either. Again,
I mean, that's my hope. I mean, I really hope he doesn't fucking end up in fucking the Raw roster, because the Raw roster is about as effective as, you know, a ballpoint pen.
Yeah.
Well, the Raw booking, I don't understand it. Aren't they all booked by the same people? How is SmackDown so much better?
I personally think, and again, I mean, we'll obviously cover this in your topic, because it's kind of going to be into,
yeah,
you know what I mean? But I think having a 3-hour show, it's part of the reason, not the reason, but it's a good portion. Like, you cut the fat, make it a more efficient wrestling show like SmackDown. The thing with SmackDown's efficient.
But SmackDown's also good, like genuinely good. Like the storylines are entertaining, the wrestling is pretty decent. Raw, I'm sorry, like even if you watch the 90-minute version of Raw on Hulu, it still kind of sucks right now. I haven't watched Raw in weeks, which for the record really keeps fucking me up on Tuesdays, because I really don't realize it's Tuesday anymore because I'm not watching Raw on Mondays.
Right.
Because like I got to that point where I was like, look, I'm not enjoying this anymore. I need a break from it. If I start to hear it's good, if I start to see some clips on social media where I'm like, oh, that looked interesting, maybe I'll start to tune in. I do still have my DVR recording it every week. Like, that's not failing. I've watched SmackDown because SmackDown's really entertaining.
It's amazing.
Like, but I can't do Raw. Like, I'm sorry, but I'm only going to be alive for so long. I need that 3 hours. I could be doing so many other things, like making dinner at 9 p.m.
That's true. So, anything else on the close of DB? I mean, because like I said, this could go anywhere, in my opinion.
Well, what about you though? Like, so we've established that like Mike and I are fans of Daniel Bryan for a long time, like since literally like the beginning of his career. For the
Come on, Impact.
No. I'm like, what's your?
I have till 5.
Right. Like, what is your, as someone who has less of a
investment?
Yeah, like who's been less exposed to his career, who's not seen him go from literal bingo halls, and like the Murphy Rec Center to the Sky Dome. Like, as someone who's not seen him make that journey, as someone who's like, the first time you probably saw him was when he was the dork that had the bellas on both of his arms or something, like where does that rank for you? Like, is he one of the best wrestlers of all time in your opinion?
As I said to start off this topic, like, I'm comfortable saying, as a guy who's watched since 1985, 86, he's top 15, 20 easily. Now we can argue about where exactly on the pecking order he is, but the fact that the Yes Movement trickled to me in 2013-14 when I wasn't even watching the product says something. It trickled out to me. I knew about it, not even watching the fucking thing.
Wasn't that like on ESPN and stuff?
It might have been a little bit. Because and I actually did watch that Mania too, because that was the year the network came out, so I was curious. Because I got the network anyway, even not watching, because I wanted the old shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I did watch that Mania to watch Brock and Taker, mainly. You know what I mean? But when I've done my my looking back the last 10, 15 years, Daniel Bryan's been one of the guys that Daniel Bryan's been one of the main guys I've been looking back watching old matches. Yeah. And he's fucking incredible. Like, he harks back also, while he's very current too, he does hark back to an era I love too.
And the thing is, like, he's one of those wrestlers who anything you give him, he makes work.
Yes.
And there's not a lot of wrestlers that you can say that about. There's a lot of wrestlers, they try, but wrestling, it's like the Chris Jericho thing, like what Chris Jericho said. It's about commitment. It's about believing it. And Daniel Bryan, and mind you, this is a guy who, again, like, if you saw him cut a promo in Ring of Honor in like 2004, you'd be like, how is this man who he is today? He was as vanilla on the mic as can possibly be. So the fact that he's come as far as he has, like, even he made being a tag team with Kane work.
Yeah.
Like, that should not have worked.
Right.
Hell no was fucking awesome.
That's
honestly,
a modern day rock and sock
literally sort of
connection.
had a gimmick, even though like they didn't, you know?
You don't want to hit me for me with Daniel Bryan. It hit me recently. So you guys know, I despise triple threat matches. Despise it. I hate it. But when they added it to this WrestleMania main event this year, because Daniel Bryan, I'm like, well, I hate it, but it's Daniel Bryan. This probably could work. You know what I'm saying? Except Daniel Bryan. So I always give him the benefit of the doubt. And of course, we had a phenomenal main event.
Yeah,
that's one of the reasons why. So
the real reason why triple threat matches normally never work is because there's always that one person in the match that doesn't work. Like their systems don't work well with the others, or they just suck in ring. But this triple threat match, like Edge can go, Bryan can go, Roman is serviceable. It made sense. Like it didn't have that like, oh, here's the bag of cement that you now have to fucking drag around with you for the next fucking 25 minutes. You
know who I felt like was always a little awkward in triple threat matches? Kurt Angle. Because his whole fighting style where it's kind of, I'm going to get you down on the mat. I'm going to work you like an amateur wrestler. That doesn't work when there's a third person that can just stop it. You know, so like it always, like to me, I can't remember a lot of really good triple threat matches with Kurt Angle.
True.
Alrighty, that's a good way to end the topic here with Daniel Bryan. All right, Joe, let's do yours. I'm looking forward to hearing yours.
I enjoy that we ended the Daniel Bryan topic talking about Kurt Angle's lack of good three-way matches.
There's a lot of sexual innuendos in this episode.
Bro, he's way too awake so far this episode. Go ahead, Ben.
All right. So, wait, shit. What was my topic? Somebody remind me.
Wrestling complaints.
Oh, that's right. I'm high. Okay. So,
yeah.
you want to hear my Mickey Mouse impersonation? Wait.
Oh boy.
Hi, Ernest. Oh.
Jesus
Christ.
Okay. So, my topic, really simple, right? I recently joined Twitter, as y'all know, because the cute guy only had Twitter, whatever. And I read a lot of Twitter now, and I see a lot of the different complaints that wrestling fans have, because apparently that's all people do on fucking Twitter is complain.
Oh, Jesus.
And I see a lot of it. It's there, blah, 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 blah. I want to know, for you guys, and also I just wanted the opportunity to rant myself, what complaints from the wrestling community are you just tired of hearing at this point? Like, even if you agree with them, you're just like, but we fucking get it. Like, just shut the fuck up already.
Oh, this is easy. We just discussed it 2 minutes ago.
You can go first.
We just discussed it. The whole complaint about Raw. There's certain people that listen to this podcast too, I know. They're going to hear this and probably get pissed at me when I say this, who bitch and moan about Raw every fucking week on social media. So, sir or ma'am, why are you watching? You have options. You don't have to watch it. And guess what? You can go on YouTube, watch clips. Or you can go on fucking Instagram, watch clips.
You can literally
watch the edited version on Hulu.
Go on PW Insider and read the like 3-page report about what happened.
And the thing is, I agree with this person about Raw being meh. But every fucking week, dude.
That's like, look, Raw sucks right now. Like I just got done saying, I haven't watched Raw in about 3 weeks because about 3 weeks ago I was like, I don't deserve this anymore. And that doesn't like I'm gonna watch the pay-per-view. I'm gonna watch WrestleMania Night 3. I watch SmackDown. You know, like I'm not giving up on WWE, but I can't do Raw right now. Like I would honestly, I've seen more people talk about the really good Ricochet and Ali matches on the last 2 weeks of Main Event. I have more interest in watching the last 2 weeks of Main Event on Hulu than I do watching any of Raw from the last couple of weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've just, again, something I've seen on Twitter. And I agree with you. I like to take it one step further. Not only am I tired of seeing people bitch and moan about Raw, because, like, yeah, for real, if you don't like it, and I don't blame you if you don't like it, but then just, like, kind of don't watch it. Give yourself a little break. Like, you know, it's okay to do that. I'm doing that. I'm living a happy life. So don't be afraid. Sometimes you need a break. But in addition to that, I hate seeing people complain about it being 3 hours. Like, we get it. It's long. It's boring. It's too much. It's not going to change. And the people who are like, oh, they should just make it 2 hours. I don't think you actually know how TV contracts work. Because, like, Vince McMahon can't just call USA and be like, you know what? 3 hours not working for me anymore. We're going to only give you 2 hours. These motherfuckers are paying them for 3 hours. Vince McMahon will go out and read a phone book for 90 minutes.
It's what USA wants anyway. They want 3 hours. They want 3 hours. USA wants 3 hours.
Right. USA wants fucking 10 hours. Like, y'all are lucky that it's only 3 hours of Raw and not fucking 8 hours of Raw. Honestly.
I'm not disagreeing with you at all.
Oh, another one, too, also for me, maybe some degree. I'm going to sound a little biased here, but follow me. The AEW nitpicking at times can get a little annoying. Now, granted, some of it is justified. The Tony Khan thing is fucking annoying now. He's gotten a little annoying the last couple months. Like, geeky wrestling fan owner / promoter.
I think this one, I think last night they have a legitimate argument.
No. The ending last night was fucking stupid. Great show to that fucking ending.
Okay, so wait. I disagree. I love we can go off on this for a second.
What?
I love the ending of that show. I love the ending of that match. I like logical endings to illogical stipulations. Like I said, like my favorite ending to an I Quit match was in CZW with, I think it was Nick Gage and like Brain Damage or somebody like that, where the match ended where Nick Gage fucking poured gasoline all over Brain Damage, took out a book of matches, and said, "Say I quit or I'm gonna set your ass on fire." Guess what Brain Damage did? He said, "I quit," because that makes sense. You don't want to be set on fire. Fuck your ego at that point. So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that, MJF getting him on top of the cage and being like, "Look, either give up or I'm going to push your guy off." And they gave up. Like, I think that made a lot of sense. I thought that was well booked. The only problem I had with this, and I've watched it twice now, and it wasn't as bad the second time, if I'm being honest, it's a production thing. The angle that they took of the shot, the way they showed Jericho landing and stuff. Look, it's a stunt. He's a stunt man at that point. He's doing a stunt. Anytime anyone does a stunt in Hollywood, they're landing on something safe. They're not trying to actually die, They have safety precautions. So, of course, he had safety precautions. Your job is to film it in a way where you're not giving that away. You know, like if we went to see the Fast and the Furious and you could see during the scene that the cars aren't about to actually crash into the ground, you're like, okay, well, that was kind of stupid.
But what
like,
sucks, though,
give that away.
What sucks, though, is unfortunately, that was a pretty much a 4 to 5 star match last night, but because of the ending, because of not because of the ending, because of the fall and the camera work, the lack of production there, that's all we're talking about next day. That's what us here, but on social media, that's all we're hearing about the production, the lack of.
Yeah, no, that and like that was look, and the thing is, every wrestling company does this, to be honest.
Yes.
WWE is probably the best at not doing it, and even they mess up. Like, remember WrestleMania 17? Remember WrestleMania 17 with the Triple H Undertaker spot? That, like, Triple H goes over the barricade or whatever it is, and he goes landing, and, like, when they show the shot live, it looks awesome. You just see Triple H go flying over and landing. Then they cut to a replay of it from a different angle, and you see that he lands on, like, basically plywood or whatever it was. So, even WWE makes that mistake. WWE, though, hasn't made that mistake in a long time that I can remember. They do a pretty decent job at this point, but I've said for years that WWE puts on some of the best productions, like, this side of Broadway, honestly. They put on live shows. They do amazing work in general. So I'm not surprised that they're better at this. But, like, look, I was even watching – I've been watching the old NWA TNA pay-per-views. I'm on, like, week 5 now of those. It's something. It's something. And all I could say is, though, like, I was watching a match today, and it was an X Division match with 6 guys who basically were, like, the best of the indies in 2002. So, like, Elix Skipper, Christopher Daniels, Low Key, Tony Mama.
Prime time, baby.
And I think it was like Kid Romeo or something like that. He was the odd man out. Right, exactly.
One of these things is not like the other.
Right, exactly.
One of these things just doesn't belong here.
And Jerry Lynn was in that match too. So, like, that was one of those matches, though, where, like, you have the spot where the guy's jumping off the top rope, and because of the way the camera angle is, you can see that all of the guys are literally waiting for him to jump. There's a way to film that where it doesn't look like, hey, guys, let's all just stand here until we get jumped on, There's a way to film that where it's like, oh, okay, cool, he's jumping, they're not ready for it, You can create that atmosphere. WWE does a good job of that. Their directors and camera people and stuff are very good at that. I think AEW needs to be better at that. Like, AEW is trying to be WWE level. You can't be WWE level and not give us WWE production. And the thing is, they apparently have the money to do it. Like there's nobody acting like AEW doesn't have basically an unlimited checkbook. Like, I don't know exactly what goes into it and stuff, but there doesn't ever seem to be a no or, oh, that costs too much or anything with AEW. So,
except for blowing up their ring.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like,
didn't fit in the budget, apparently.
I don't see.
You know how much a new ring costs?
But okay, I will counter your thing, though. I'm tired of seeing fans acting like you can't critique either company. I'm tired of seeing people, like, if you have anything negative to say about AEW, all of a sudden you're a WWE mark and or you're a stan or whatever it is. By the way, why are we using that fucking Eminem song as a thing? What the fuck? Do better, Generation X or whatever generation you are.
Stan's a thing now.
It
It's
shouldn't
gotten
be.
worse.
Weird.
Please don't come.
Right. So
I'm
I'm tired of seeing that. I'm tired of if you compliment AEW, it's like, oh my god, like you think WWE sucks. Or if you complain about WWE, it's like, oh, all you do is like AEW. That gets boring. Like, why can't we be critical? Why can't we look at each show independently and just be like, okay, look, here's the good, here's the bad. Like, I think we all do that, at the end of the day. And it shouldn't be like, oh man, if I decide to be critical of AEW on Twitter, that I'm going to get 25 people saying, oh, you're just a WWE mark. Like your opinion doesn't actually matter.
Right. To me, as long as if it's constructive criticism, I can engage in intelligent discussion. Because we can sit here and say we love Kenny Omega, but this heel run's kind of But you know what? I'm still going to watch next Wednesday.
Right.
Shit like that.
Let's see. Number 1 on my complaint list is I'm sick and tired of seeing insert random name here should sign with AEW.
Yes.
Not every free agent in fucking professional wrestling should sign with AEW, guys. Breaking news, they've got a fairly decent roster. Hell, they can't push half of the roster that they have that's good.
They're kind of busy.
Them to sign random motherfuckers.
They're kind of busy right now.
We don't need a third 2-hour show on YouTube called AEW Dark Chocolate Evolution. Like, we don't need that. Like, we got enough. We got enough of that shit. All right, fucking like I'm over it.
I would tune into AEW Dark Chocolate Revolution. I'm just saying.
All right. And then my second biggest one is I don't know necessarily that it's. I guess it is. Everyone that wants to sit here and critique Vince McMahon for making roster cuts during a pandemic and then after the pandemic, like, the dude is literally like budgeting a multi-billion-dollar organization. Like, he also kept a lot of people employed during a pandemic when he wasn't using them. Like, give the guy the benefit of the doubt.
That's the thing. Like, not even the whole like. Look, it annoys me that people act like just because they have the money, they have to keep people employed. Like, that's not how that works. And at the end of the day, just because, like, we as fans might like this person or that person or whatever. Like, I'm sorry, Mickie James was not adding anything to the WWE roster for the last, like, 3 or 4 years. Do I blame them for firing her? No, I really don't. At the end of the day, it's like if you worked in an office and fucking Ethel's been here for 30 years in accounting, and she's so nice, and the cookies she brings every Thursday are so great, but she fucking is useless, and you can't even let her like take people's vacation time off the books because she messes it up somehow every week. So you give her the easy jobs to do because you don't really want to fire her. But fuck that, fire her.
Yeah,
at least there are options out there now. At least you have other companies you can work with.
Okay, but even when there weren't options,
it's not WWE's job to keep people employed.
Oh, I agree with you.
So I'm supposed to shell out $250,000 to $300,000 to keep you employed when you want to half-ass it, or you can't stay healthy, or you say or do something, and that's the thing. Like, at the end of the day, like the line in the sand for me was whenever the whole Zelina Vega stuff happened. They're like, oh, Vince is an asshole because he's trying to take away people's money from Twitch streams and this, that, and the other. I'm like, no, if you think about it, Vince is paying them $300,000 a year downside. Right. They don't even have to fucking show up to fucking house shows. We haven't had house shows in a year. So he's basically paying them to sit at home and play video games. So, like, at the end of the day, like, if he's paying you to be making money, like, why shouldn't he get a percentage of what you're doing? Those fans know who you are because you're a WWE wrestler. You have a WWE affiliated Twitter and Instagram page that you share all of your fucking streams on. It's not like you're some random schmo that's just like grinding Call of Duty Warzone and like sharing it on Twitch with 3 fucking followers to building up your platform. I mean, I'm sorry. I like Zelina Vega. But yeah, when you post a picture on Instagram of you in like a fucking Sub-Zero costume, wearing like basically just enough to cover your boobs, like, oh, streaming now, every red-blooded American male that is straight No offense, Joe.
I'm not offended that there are straight people.
It's probably gonna click on that link that says like swipe up to watch. Oh,
Guilty.
she's playing a video. Yeah, that's see, but that's my point. You're using a WWE affiliated thing to promote your business. You know, everyone wants to go, oh, they're picking and choosing their battles with Woods, you know, and up down down. I'm sorry, the up down down T-shirt that we bought is a WWE licensed shirt.
Yeah,
WWE got the money for that. Yeah, Woods and Cole and Cesaro and Breeze probably got their merchandise cut for the shirts that were sold, but WWE's getting a lot of the big portions of that. So I'm sorry, like the people that got cut, it's unfortunate. I'm sorry they lost their job. He wasn't adding anything because she couldn't stay healthy. I am currently listening to Chelsea Green's podcast because it's actually entertaining. It's only like 35 minutes. It's not a 3-hour show. It's quick, fast, and to the point. She's very entertaining on a podcast. Couldn't stay healthy. Unfortunately, like that's something. It's like they tried to debut her 3 times. She got hurt all 3 times.
Right.
Like I'm sorry. Like I think she's great. I think her character thing is really good. She's the unfortunate one that got the injury bug.
Like, and look, you guys are more into sports outside of pro wrestling than I am because, you know, it is what it is. So, other sports, nobody's ever like, oh man, like the Green Bay Packers decided to cut that guy. Fuck them. They should have kept him and kept paying him. Like, that's not a thing that happens anywhere else, is it?
No, not really. No.
It's weird that happens with WWE, and it always happens.
Fascinating that you bring that up, and this is a point that Albert Pujols signed a 10-year quadrillion-dollar contract to play for the Angels.
Okay, I love that for him.
Well, they cut him in the final year of it this year. They just designated for assignment earlier today.
This morning, yeah.
Because he's not performing. So he's a 38 or 39-year-old first baseman DH who's got feet that are probably this of a 55-year-old. He's got like plantar fasciitis to like the worst fucking
batting
degree.
under 200 too.
So, and you're like, oh, you know what? You guys should still be paying him $25 million this year.
Right.
And give him playing time over the young guys that we're trying to develop. No, maybe you guys shut the fuck up and let us fucking run a baseball organization, try to win some goddamn baseball games.
Right, exactly.
Like, what the fuck do you mean? Like, that. See, that's the point that it's like, if it makes sense from a logical standpoint, Pujols not performing, you know, somebody being hurt, like, yeah, okay, you want to take care of him because they got hurt playing for your organization, but it's like, you're not going to keep him under contract for 3 years because the guy fucking, you know, blew out his shoulder. Like, you pay him, you the rest of his contract, you let him recuperate. Right. If he makes a comeback, you want to re-sign him for less, cool. If not, then, like, you move on from it. It's kind of like how, like, Chelsea Green's that is unfortunately the way that is. Like, I think she's great in ring. I think she was very, you know, with the Robert Stone brand and all that fun stuff. But it's like she didn't really get to hit that stride because she got hurt. It sucks. Like, I think she could have been a great act. There was she shared something that she had the idea to become the 3rd member of the Iconics and call them the Triconics. It was going to be her trying to force her way into Peyton and Billy, and then like finding out that really it was Chelsea's the crazy one, not Billy and Peyton fucking turning on each other. Like they're eventually going to turn on Chelsea. But like that would have been a fun angle to do during the pandemic era where there was no fans.
Yes.
You could have done that, but then she got hurt.
Right.
And like it sucked.
At a certain point, you move on. You move on from the athlete if they can't stay healthy.
The best type of ability is availability.
So the one cut though before we move on that I will always be like I don't understand it is obviously Billy and Peyton.
Yeah.
I think what it comes down to with them is as much as they could get over like character wise, I don't think that Vince and I mean I shouldn't put words in his mouth or thoughts in his head. I have no idea what he's thinking and stuff. But you've always heard that, you know, he looks at every talent and thinks, can this person main event WrestleMania? That's the goal with everyone. Like, could they do it? And now you've got women main eventing WrestleMania and stuff. I wonder if he just kind of looked at the two of them and was like, you're never going to main event WrestleMania. I don't know why I have you here otherwise. Because like they were a great, and this is the thing, right? It's a failure on WWE's part because they are the mid card. They are what we've talked about with the women's wrestling, where like you're missing mid card. You have upper card, and then you just have lower card. You don't have a mid card. They were perfect for that role, and WWE fucked it up. I'm not surprised that they fucked it up, but they fucked it up. So, it kind of is what it is, but I see that being the thing where they kind of do have a ceiling, but that's okay. So you need people in your company who have a ceiling. You need that level sometimes,
You need Hercules.
Yeah, no, I mean you need you need depth. You need roster depth essentially. So okay. I gotta do the biggest, most obvious. Like, I'm tired of hearing wrestling fans discuss. This is the obvious one, right? Dave fucking Meltzer. I'm so tired of hearing wrestling fans either defend him or bitch about him or look. At the end of the day, and this is something I always say about him, and I will continue to say it. I look for opportunities to say it. It amuses me that everyone gets really angry at the authority that we give him because he has no authority whatsoever. He's
a fucking journalist.
Right. He's not a journalist. He's not a Harvard-educated journalism major. Yada, yada. He's a writer who writes like a news sheet for wrestling. So what he does, he's made a very successful career out of that. Mazel tov to him. Dave, I love that for you. But at the end of the day, he's not like this incredible journalist. He's not, he's not the be-all, end-all expert. And like the thing is, at the end of the day, too, it's all his opinion. And that's what I don't get. I don't get how people get so stuck on like his opinion is gospel. His opinion is gold. It's not. It's one man's opinion. He has his likes. He has his dislikes. We all do, there are wrestling matches that I absolutely hate that he absolutely loved and vice versa.
There are fans.
Natural. The only reason that people aren't giving my opinion more value than his is because they're not. Like, that's literally all there is to it. People give his opinion value and then complain that it has value. And if I never have to hear anyone complain about that again, it would be too soon. It's like if every week I saw people bitch and moan about like A.O. Scott's latest film review in the New York Times. I would literally be like, well, why the fuck are you reading his film reviews? That's how I feel. Like if you don't like Meltzer, just ignore him. And if you do like him, good for you. But like at the end of the day, it's just his opinion. Calm the fuck down.
The IWC gives him so much goddamn oxygen. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
Like, people hate it. Oh, I hate Meltzer. Well, then why the fuck you talk about him still? Stop talking about him then.
I feel like the internet wrestling community as a whole spends a lot more time bitching and moaning about stuff and talking about stuff it dislikes than about stuff that it does like. And that's sad because honestly, if you're a pro wrestling fan and you can't find something that you actually enjoy happening in pro wrestling, because there's a million, even now that we're coming out of like the pandemic and there's more options and stuff, there's a million options. If WWE is not your thing, and first of all, like Raw cannot be your thing, while SmackDown's your thing. That's what I'm on right now, or NXT can be your thing and the other two brands aren't your thing. Or WWE is not your thing at all, but you like AEW or ROH or CZW or fucking AAA and CMLL in Mexico, New Japan. There's so many different options. There's DDT if you want silly wrestling from Japan. You can find something that you like as a wrestling fan. If you're choosing to only watch what's mainstream and out there and then bitch and moan about it, as opposed to finding some sort of joy in it, you are part of the problem. Because wrestling, like there's no other thing where people hate watch. People hate watch wrestling. And I don't get that. Like either be a fan or like get the fuck out.
Shut the fuck off.
Yeah, for real.
Shut the fuck off?
No, step the fuck off.
He said step.
Oh, it sounded like you said shut. I was like, huh?
No, step the fuck off. To either enjoy or step the fuck off.
That time it sounded like shut.
Yeah.
Either I'm not retarded then. All right.
No, the
Sure,
second
I'm
time
like,
it
Well,
sounded
you want
like
to hear them play back. Well, hopefully
Tanner.
hear them play back, and you'll see how it came out.
I mean, I hope so because it definitely sounded like
Yeah,
shut the fuck off. I
Shut the
was
fuck off. Yeah.
like, all
Anyway,
right, cool.
If any other complaints, feel free. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go see a man about a horse.
any complaints? Go ahead and tweet J-Lo Sugar.
Yes.
The only other real big complaint I have when it comes to listening to the internet wrestling community talk is the whole fucking John Moxley IWGP US title run where it's like,
Oh God.
he's not defending the title. Oh, he's not doing this. Oh, he's not doing that. Like, guys, you know that like there's a travel ban. Like, if he leaves, he can't come back kind of shit. Like, it's a thing, right? And like they just started the New Japan US shit, and it's like, okay, we'll let him wrestle there. Like, make it work. So now that he's making it work, it's like, oh, he's only defended the title 3 times. Meh. Like they're finding things to nitpick. And it's like when you have to find things to nitpick to make yourself relevant in a conversation, you're part of the problem. Like literally, how hard is it for you to literally just sit here and be like, oh, I didn't like this John Moxley match against Yuji Nagata. Maybe his next match against Chris Dickerson will be better and I'll give it a shot. Or this reached the point where I'm not going to watch fucking his New Japan shit anymore. Like, I don't get, like, New Japan is the one company in professional wrestling where I don't think Gato really gives 2 fucks what any of us say. He's going to book the card the way he wants to book the card. He's going to put over whoever the fuck he wants to put over. And complaining about it to make yourself feel better on the fucking Twitter is not, like, no one gives a fuck. Like, oh, Will Ospreay's the world champion. He was part of that fucking Speak Out movement. It's kind of fucked up. Gato's sitting there going, I don't give a fuck.
So, two things. Number one, remember that scene in A League of Their Own where Madonna and her teammates watched Tom Hanks take the longest piss? Like, I felt like I was living that a few seconds ago. Anyway, number two, I actually have enjoyed seeing people complain about New Japan because I feel like I've been complaining about New Japan's booking for at least 5 years now. And watching the rest of the Western Hemisphere catch up to my opinion has been very validating.
Oh, no. I'm not saying that they're wrong for doing it.
Right. You just say they don't give a fuck.
They haven't changed anything in 5 years. It's because Gato really doesn't give a fuck what you have to say.
Yeah.
He's reached the point as the booker where it's like his first couple years when he had the book, he was like, oh, what's the internet wrestling community saying? Let me try to build super shows. Let me try to build things like this. Now he's like, fuck it. I'm in Bullet Club. I'm making all this fucking revenue off of these fucking t-shirts. I don't really give a fuck. I can make this the easiest fucking money in the world. Or I can sit here and try to complicate it by starting feuds and doing different things and shit like that. And he's just kind of like, meh, I'll just take the easy money right now. And it's like, the thing is, it's like, none of us as fans are going to stop watching New Japan because next thing you know, it's like, oh, did you see that Will Ospreay versus Shingo match? And everyone's like,
right.
No. The fans that stop watching be like, no. And they're like, dude, you missed like a 5-star match. They're going to go watch that Shingo Will Ospreay match and be like, damn, I'm hooked again. And they're going to be back watching it every fucking month. And guess what? Gato's booking still hasn't changed.
Right. You're right.
It's still the same shit.
And that's one of the differences between like New Japan and Raw too, though. Like nobody's tuning into Raw next Monday because everyone was like, oh my God, did you hear about that 5-star Drew McIntyre and Shelton Benjamin match? Like New Japan does have that benefit of like you're still gonna get those great in-ring matches, especially in the main event level.
Oh, absolutely. That's the thing.
Yep.
It's you're complaining about something that it makes sense to complain about, but when you've done it for fucking 5 years and nothing's changed, maybe it's time to just start critiquing the in-ring work and knowing that this match was missing this match was missing this, not, oh, Jay White should have never won the never openweight title. They've only pushed Jay White to every fucking title in the fucking company.
Right.
Like, now you're going to complain?
Okay. So I'm assuming we're pretty much done with this topic.
Yeah.
So before we get into the tag team stuff, I got to show you guys something. Wait.
Okay.
Wait.
All right, we'll make small talk.
Yeah.
So yeah, back to the ending of Blood and
Speaking
Guts.
of tag teams, look, it's Cheez-Its duos.
Is that
Is that
Parmesan and
is that
Colby Jack?
Chive that left?
Oh my
Can't
God,
see.
we're all so old. It's
No,
no, it's blurry.
jalapeno and
I can't
It's
see.
blurry.
As I'm
Jack.
saying, it's green.
It's really blurry on your
Yeah.
on the screen.
It's delicious. I just really wanted an excuse to eat it. But also, it's duos, like tag teams. Let's do this shit.
Yeah, let's do it. Mike, it's you.
All right.
Where's yours?
Final four of the all-time tag team tournament. How we got here. In the North bracket, it's LOD versus the Steiner brothers. The Legion of Doom was the 5 seed in the North. They defeated Owen Hart, the British Bulldog, in the first round, the New Day in the second round, and Harlem Heat in the North semifinals. Their opponents are the Steiner brothers. They are the 3 seed from the North. They defeated they defeated Doom, the Wyatt family, and the Outsiders to become into the final four. We'll start in the North, Legion of Doom versus the Steiner brothers. I'll let you guys discuss what you want to. Then I'll discuss some stuff, and then we'll get into the vote.
So, okay.
Go ahead.
I'm going to be honest. I almost feel like it doesn't matter who wins this one because I feel like I know who I'm voting through to the end at this point. I'm from the other side. So, just for fairness sake, I think in-ring work-wise, the Steiner brothers are probably one of the best tag teams of all time. Maybe the best. In-ring work-wise. Success-wise, I think if you measure the two teams up against each other and, you put their WCW, like the Steiner brothers WCW run against the LOD NWA run, and then you put their WWF runs. They both had WWF runs in the early 90s. You put those against each other. I think LOD gets the edge in those regards, So I think I'm going to vote for the Legion of Doom. And only because I'm basing it on success level and all of that. Right. If I was basing it on just my opinion of in-ring work, and if you told me right now I could either watch Legion of Doom versus the Nasty Boys or the Steiner brothers versus Sting and Lex Luger, I'm choosing the Steiner brothers match 9 times out of 10. Yep. I was a bigger fan of theirs, but at the end of the day, their WWF run was kind of a lame. It was kind of forgettable at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And, in WCW, they were really successful, but they weren't any more or less successful than the Legion of Doom. If anything, they probably were less.
Right. I mean, if you talk yourself into a wash and comparing the NWA/WCW run, the equalizer would be, well, what put them ahead, what put the LD ahead would be the WF run. You know what I'm saying? And again, I'm with you. Like, you asked me who I'd rather watch wrestle, Steiner's 10 out of 10. Because they're just better in the ring. But again, we talk about impact and everything else and what they mean to the sport. Slight edge to LOD/Road Warriors.
Yeah, my vote is actually going to be for the Steiner brothers. I think that their superior in-ring work makes it where, having the titles back in the late 80s where, we were in the Hogan era where titles didn't change hands all that frequently.
Right.
So the Steiners really were in an era where it's like, oh, we need a big change here. What do we do? Oh, let's move the titles to somebody else. The Steiners also, I think, had a New Japan title run, or they were a team in New Japan for. Hold on, let me bring up the.
That's interesting.
Let me read the rusty trusty iPad here.
That's interesting, actually.
Find some information. Let's see what I can do here. Hold on. Let me. Gotta get to great stuff here.
While you're looking it up, anything else we can discuss while you're looking that up and to fill time?
It's a Madison Square Garden. It's not a square nor a garden.
That's facts. Been there.
Done that. Got the Okada shirt.
So when I look at these two teams, I think this is a closer matchup than the South bracket. Personally.
Yes, absolutely.
So I think that this one is one where it's like if I'm taking in-ring work into any kind of consideration, it's this matchup more than the South Finals.
Right.
Let me see. Tag teams and stables. The Steiner brothers. ECW, Independence, New Japan. Ooh, titles. They
New
were
Japan.
they were a 2-time IWGP World Tag Team Champions.
Really?
They held the titles for 229 days and 149 days.
Wow, I did not know that.
Does LD have anything comparable to that outside of the WCW, WF regions? NWA regions?
Have a run in Japan also. I'm pretty sure the Road Warriors did some New Japan work.
Okay.
I'm looking.
They kind of like the two teams really did kind of have the same trajectory of careers.
Let me just say this though, and I think Joe and I are part of the same plane here too. It's close. It's really close.
The Legion of Doom. The Legion of Doom never held the IWGP.
Okay.
Their only tag title runs. They were NWA National Tag Team Champions 3 times. They were NWA World Tag Team Champions once. They were World Tag Team Champions 2 times. Yeah, that's all I see. So they were 2 times WF Tag Team Champions. They were NWA World Tag Team Champions for 155 days, and they were national champions 3 times for a total of 317 days. And they had a 400-day reign as the AWA World Tag Team Champions.
I feel like they were one of those acts that didn't necessarily need to be champions. You know what I mean? Like they were kind of this main event act as themselves.
It was so fucking over though back then.
They were ridiculously over. They were like level over.
Right. Well, this is how I put it too for me also. Like what NWA, pre 1989. I knew who the Warriors were before they came to WF in the first place. Like you're gonna PWI magazines, Road Warriors all the time.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like one of those things embedded in your head. Like there's Hogan, Savage, Warrior. You have the Sting, Flair, and then Road Warriors.
Yeah,
there's your top 5 or 10 wrestlers. You should know who they are, regardless if you watch the product or not. They were one of those teams. They stood out more than anybody else.
All right,
but I agree with you. The in-ring product, Steiner's easily over them.
I'm going to take the Steiners because they were also IWGP World Tag Team Champions and WWF World Tag Team Champions at the same time.
Ooh.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, their title run when they won the IWGP for the... Oh, no, I'm sorry. They were WCW champs.
Oh, that makes more sense because they were working with New Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of W's on this page. Yeah, but 6-time WCW tag champs, 2-time WWF tag champs, 2 times IWGP tag champs, and an NWA World Tag Title reign of 199 days for the Steiner brothers. So I'm going to vote for them. I'll let you guys make your formal vote so that we can move on to the South, so that we can then get to the national title game.
I voted for LOD.
So did I. Still LOD.
Yeah.
All right, so I just filled in the finals with trash. So you guys know. The South region, the finals, how we got there. The 1 seed are the Dudley boys. They defeated the Hollywood Blondes, the Gangstas, and the team of Paul London and Brian Kendrick. Their opponents are none other than the Usos, Jimmy and Jay Uso. They defeated the Powers of Pain, the Rockers, and the Eliminators to get to the finals. Definitely the easier road to get here for the Usos.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm definitely voting for the best tag team of all time. I'm taking the Dudley Boys.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
Usos got this far because of this the trek. But
I was just like, the Usos getting this far is kind of amazing, and not to say that they're not awesome, but they made the final four now.
Right, because if the Usos match against New Day, who would you pick, for example?
New Day.
Exactly.
I actually probably would have still voted for the Usos.
Really?
Yeah. Out of the teams that made it to the Elite Eight, the only team that I probably would have voted them out against would have been Harlem Heat.
Fair.
So let me ask you a question. Is the Usos, historically, to you guys, was all said and done, forget the bracket and all that, because that's all about circumstance. Are they considered a top 10 tag team all time, in your eyes?
In WWE, yes. Outside,
Well,
like in
no, right?
general, no.
Okay.
Top 20, maybe.
I'd probably put him in my top 15.
All time, Mike?
Yeah.
Okay.
See, I'd go top 20. I could see them being in the lower half of 15 to 20 for me.
Okay.
But
Well,
if you're talking strictly WWE, top 10 easily, maybe even top 5.
yeah, I would probably definitely put him in the top 5. It'd probably be them, the New Day,
Really?
the Hardys, the Dudleys, Edge and Christian.
Yeah, I mean, look, I would say that the Usos and the New Day are the closest that tag teams have ever come to being the main event act in WWE.
I would say this is the second closest. The only other closest would have been if they would have main evented with one of those TLC matches in the late 90s.
True.
Right. Yeah.
Like the Hardy, Dudley, Edge and Christian was probably the closest we'll ever get. And then second closest is this, and then like that's really it to me.
Yeah.
Well, you guys had one little more exposure to Usos, you guys as you know, but obviously the in-ring work is excellent.
Oh yeah, no,
so,
they're incredible.
Yeah,
Together.
so I wouldn't even argue that, you know. So I mean, top 5, 6, whatever. Yeah, you can sell to me. So
Yeah,
but anyway,
so I think we're
yeah. I'm trying to give Usos. I'm trying to give the Usos a nice send off because it's gonna be Dudley Boys, probably in a clean sweep. This is easy.
Yeah, it's the Dudley Boys against the Usos for sure.
Yeah, I definitely voted for the Dudley Boys as well. But yeah, I don't think that you can just faintly say that the Usos aren't deserving to get here. You know, luck of the draw got them this far, but I think they would have been in the Elite Eight no matter probably where they were at.
Probably.
I don't know how many teams I would have voted for them over, to be honest.
Okay, so, I mean,
like Nasty Boys, sure, maybe even like Bryan and Kendrick, Kendrick and London. Like I could see myself voting for the Usos over those teams, but like I'm not giving them over Harlem Heat or like teams like that. I don't think I'm giving them over the Outsiders. You know what I mean?
I probably would pick them over the Outsiders just because the Outsiders.
I might have too.
Like theirs was a gimmick. Those guys couldn't go in the ring to save their fucking life.
Right. I might have also too. To be honest with you, like the only thing the Outsiders is going for them is the impact of what it meant to the business in 1996.
Yes.
And we discussed it last week on the podcast. It makes sense.
Right.
So I mean, there may be 5 teams I might pick over them.
So wait, finals time, right?
Yes. Before we get there, literally, I'm looking on the MLW YouTube page. Episode number 34, Sammy Guevara versus Roosh.
Okay.
What year is this? Like 17?
2 years ago.
Oh, 19. Okay.
That's interesting. I might have to watch that show later. All right. Finals.
By the way, Sammy Guevara last night in Blood and Guts, amazing. Good.
Yeah, he was good.
Fucking.
Finals. Dudley Boys. Legion of Doom. Anyone want to start this conversation?
So,
first of all,
first?
But yeah, so first of all, I kind of want to get in Sammy Guevara's Blood and Guts. All right. Secondly,
okay, wow, you are on a fucking roll today.
So, as I said before, one of the reasons why I didn't even really consider too hard who I was voting for between LOD and the Steiners. I mean, I did, but at the end of the day, it was always going to be the Dudleys for me as the winners of this. Like when I saw that they were in the Final Four, I'd already decided, okay, they're going all the way. There's none of the other 3 teams are teams that I would vote for over the Dudleys. So there was no scenario where they weren't going to win. So for me, they get my vote for sure. They are hands down easily the most successful tag team of the 90s in pro wrestling. And that stretched even further than that. You know, they started out feuding with each other in ECW. If you really go back to it, the Bubba Ray and Devon were feuding with each other around 96. And then they end up as a team, and they literally become one of the top acts in ECW. Talk about a tag team that's able to be a top act in a company. The Dudley Boys were that in ECW, hands down, no question. And then they do something that a lot of people did not do. And let's be honest here, we all watched this for the most part a lot of people made the jump from ECW over to WWF, over to WCW, and then failed miserably. Whether it was because they gave them new characters that were nothing like what they became successful for, like Mike Awesome and stuff like that, or because they just gave you a watered down version of the character that we knew from ECW in the case of like Raven and, Stevie Richards and all those guys. The Dudleys jumped from ECW to WWF and succeeded. They changed their act just enough for it to work in WWF while still being something that all of their fans were super into, super excited to see them doing. And it didn't hurt that they had the Hardys to feud with. It didn't hurt that they had Edge and Christian to feud with, that they were able to have these tables matches, these TLC matches, all those things. But they did that. They did all of that. Technically speaking, they're also the only tag team to have ever held the ECW, WWF, and WCW tag team titles. Now, granted, they held the WCW tag team titles once WWF already owned WCW, and they did the whole alliance thing. But it still sort of counts, And then, they break up a little bit in WWE. They get back together. They have a little bit of a main event run on SmackDown. They leave the company. They still team. They're Team 3D then over in TNA, and they have a pretty decent run there as a tag team. They end up eventually being part of Aces and Eights and have a really decent run. And then they end up back in WWF. WWE. They end up back in WWE, and they have kind of a shitty run. But it was cool to see them come back and have like kind of that one last hurrah where they were like feuding with the Usos and putting them over at WrestleMania and stuff. It was kind of cool as like an old generation, new generation thing to get to see. So they've really run the gauntlet of pro wrestling. They've probably never been IWGP tag team champions or anything like that. I think
they were.
Were they really?
WWE, ECW, WCW, NWA, TNA, and NWGP tag team champions.
That's incredible. Like, honestly, the only thing they haven't won at that point is the Ring of Honor belts and like the AEW belt. And honestly, the way Bully Ray tweets at Tony Khan, he's probably not winning the tag belts anytime soon in AEW. But that aside, do I think it's impossible? Devon's kids might eventually do it. They're there. So, next generation Dudleys. But yeah. I think hands down, look, the 80s were the 80s. I don't know a lot about the territory days and stuff like that. I was a WWF kid, and I was a kid. For me, the 90s, it is the biggest era of pro wrestling because it's the one I grew up with the most. It's the one that I paid attention to through my teenage years, all of that. The fact that the Dudleys were able to have the level of success during the 90s on television and all these different companies, all these different platforms in the 2000s and stuff, the same level of success that like LOD had, but so much longer, so much more staying power. That's the thing. We've talked about before how LOD had that like really big run in the 80s, and then they had that WWF run in the 90s, like early 90s. And then there were those weird points where it was like Animal's working in WCW by himself, or Hawk is working in WCW by himself. And then like they finally get back together as a team, and they have kind of a weird run in WWF in the late 90s. And, that's the end of it then. So the fact that the Dudleys start in like 96 and existed well into the 2010s, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
That's like they were doing the WWF run in 2016 or so. So, it's just the longevity alone, like it's the Dudleys, hands down.
Yeah. And honestly, looking at some of these numbers, it's really not that close. If you think about it.
Yeah.
WWE recognizes them as an 18-time tag team champion, while Impact recognizes them as a 23-time champion.
That makes sense.
The combination of, not bringing race in there, but having a black and a white guy, I love the packaging. It was phenomenal.
And that's the thing, like I was saying, like they were able to take kind of their act from ECW, and they're one of the only teams that was able to kind of like sanitize it a little bit.
Yeah.
Kind of like you took away we're gonna curse out every member of the audience and turned it into simply Devon get the tables. But guess what was fucking over? Devon get the tables to this day is still fucking over. They got that fucking stupid what's that? They got that over as a spot. like, again, to this day, if any tag team on like SmackDown broke that out for one night, that would get a pop. I mean, maybe not right now when there's no crowd, but like, Double or Nothing. If you want to hear 5,000 people pop, fucking have the Young Bucks break that spot out. You'll still get a pop.
No, to me, it's not even that close, honestly.
So my thing here is, if Devon's sons become, the second generation Dudleys, does that make them Dudley?
Yes.
Had Dudley?
Yes.
So we'll go with it.
So one of them has to be Dudley, and the other one has to be Dances with Dudley.
Yes. Dudley could just be D squared. D tripled?
Triple D?
Triple D. Oh, I can use some Triple D.
Ew.
On a roll.
So Dudleys, I'm like, we have to tweet at Bully Ray and Devon and be like, congratulations. We consider you the greatest tag team of all time.
Shout out to Busted Open, of course, but Bully Ray.
Like, for real, like, y'all, one of y'all bitches jump on our Twitter and do it.
I'll take care of it as soon as we're off the air.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's me easy. I'm sure you can pick Dudleys too, Mike, right?
Oh, Queen Sweet Buddy.
I love it.
Yeah.
I didn't think, when we started this, I can't say, like, if you had asked me who I thought would win, I don't know that the Dudleys would have been a team that I would have said I thought they were going to win. But now that we're here, it makes 100% sense.
No, honestly, I had the same kind of question going into the tournament. I was like, who could actually be the old team? And to me, the only team I thought I could challenge them was what we got, LOD. But look at the numbers. I mean,
I could have seen this going a million ways. I really could have. Like, I'm kind of surprised we got to where we got. But, like, again, I think it makes sense. Like, I'm not mad at it at all. I kind of like it. I'm happy we got to the Dudleys.
Oh yeah.
It kind of made me have to take a minute and think about their careers and stuff, which, like, you don't necessarily sit around all the time and just think to yourself, like, oh, let me ponder the success of this random tag team from the 90s, and like, it was kind of fun to actually sit and think about that and think about the impact they did have. No pun.
Yeah, no pun. All right, before we get going, what? Say it again?
I'm not a hater. I just crush a lot.
Before we get going, Joe, what do you love this week?
All right, so this is going to be a really good one, all right? Orange Cassidy, my buddy, all right? A lot of people treat you like you're small, like you're nothing, like you're an ant. But really, dude, you're on fire right now. You're like undefeated at the moment in AEW. And now they've set you up. You're going to get your title shot. I didn't know that we were going to end up here. I really didn't. I had no idea who we were going to get as the challenger for Kenny Omega. I never in a million years would have guessed that it'd be Orange Cassidy. But not only did they set it up in a way that made 100% sense. I've been pretty critical of AEW. I've been pretty critical of the ranking system and stuff. They finally are using it in a way that is exciting to me, and I really appreciate that. And Orange Cassidy, I don't know that you're going to go out there and beat Kenny Omega. I don't know that you're going to be the savior, that you're going to take the title. But the fact that you get that shot, the fact that you get to do it on pay-per-view, which will get me to order that pay-per-view.
Wait, doesn't it be Pac first, though?
He's got to beat Pac first, but he's going to beat Pac. I'd be surprised if he did not beat Pac, to be perfectly honest. This feels like where the storyline is going. And the fact, like, he might not win the belt, but the fact that this guy who seemed like a random, obscure character that would never get over in a million years is totally justifiable as a world champion title match. Orange Cassidy, I love that for you.
Yeah. All right, MVPs. I'll go first. It's actually going to be kind of sort of what you were saying. Not to say Cassidy, but AEW. I feel like we're really getting a lot of movement with the storylines. Like ever since Revolution. Remember, you guys? We did the first podcast we did outside Revolution. You guys were like, "You get double nothing, or else I'm on hiatus." Remember that? Remember that podcast?
No, they've done a good job. And I'm interested in seeing what the card is going to be for Double or Nothing, because, like, I know we have Sheeta and Britt Baker now.
Which, by the way,
Yeah.
Which, by the way, not sure how you guys feel about that. I know Mike disagreed with me about the whole thing with Miro and Darby Allin about whether or not they should pull the trigger on Miro next week. Kind
I
of.
feel like they need to save him, but I hate it. I hate it so much.
It feels soon.
I'm over him, number one,
Right.
and I really love Darby Allin as the champion. I don't think he should be losing this belt yet.
Did you say 2 weeks ago that you kind of sort of like getting a little tired of him as champion though? I thought you said that.
Darby?
No,
I don't remember.
Or somebody else said that. Maybe somebody else said that.
I mean, you could be right, but you're probably not.
Right. No. And to Mike's point about like, it might feel a little too soon. I'm just glad they're doing something with Miro now. So that stupid fucking thing with him and Kim Sabian. Let's do something. Make it like a monster.
The dumbest way to introduce him into the company. It was so pointless for so many months. Like, I get it. You didn't want him becoming a main eventer right away, but you put him in the most fucking pointless situation possible.
No fucking sense.
Like, they literally did it just so they can call him the best man.
And obviously, we'll probably do a couple weeks. We'll do the preview, for the Double Nothing pay per view. I mean, they're gonna pull a trigger on fucking Britt, right? It's time.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No.
Well,
no,
Mike,
but I'm really glad that she's got the title match. I think it's gonna be actually really looking forward to that match.
Right, but I'm just glad Ado's moving though.
D.
I love
it. She's winning. She better win the belt.
It's time.
Before I get to my MVP. By the way, anytime that you guys ever decide to sell a show as a fucking 2-hour fucking event, don't fucking record the first hour and play it on the Jumbotron and then only give people blood and guts without telling them more than like 7 minutes before the show starts. IJS.
Yeah.
Didn't Tony Khan offer them to get refunds if they?
You had 45 minutes to claim the refund.
Okay.
Why did they even do that? Why did they think that was a good idea?
I think it was because of the ring.
So pissed off.
From what I heard, I think because the situation of the rings, having to build a ring, it'd be tough to add a second ring during the show. That's something I heard.
Okay, they didn't add a second random ring to a fucking NXT show or a WCW show. They just had one match wrestle in one ring and one match wrestle in the other ring.
Right.
The fuck?
I'm assuming they were worried about getting the cage down and like back up or whatever. I don't know. They could have. There were ways that they could have done that, or just honestly tell your crowd the truth. Like advertise it that way. Like, hey, you buy a ticket for this, you're getting blood and guts, and that's all you're getting. I feel like that wouldn't even have made people that upset if they knew that in advance.
That said, do you think it'll be something to hold against the company? Probably not long term.
It's hard to tell long term, but like honestly, this is one of those moments where again AEW comes across as a little bit of like Carney, like a little bit Bush League, like bait and switch, like with the exploding ring that and. There's just too many things where it's like we're gonna make you promises that we're going to go out of our way to not keep.
That said, it did pop brain last night, 1.9.
Oh yeah, and they deserved it. Like I said, I love that, man. That was a great episode of Dynamite in general. Fucking Scorpio Sky was out there quoting Batman Forever, and then Ethan Page was throwing shade at Evolve Wrestling. Like that was like one of the most fun promos I've ever seen.
Kind of like the Ethan Page Scorpio Skies combination. Not bad.
No, yeah, I like it when they actually use it.
Yeah. All right, Mike, go ahead. Sorry about that.
My MVP for this week is none other than a former NFL player, a former member of the Four Horsemen. Mm-hmm. My MVP this week is Steve Mongo McMichaels. Mongo recently diagnosed with ALS. Ric Flair saw him earlier this week, posted a photo of him with Steve, who doesn't look to be in the greatest of shape. Which is unfortunate.
What's the GoFundMe and stuff? He's my MVP also. You're gonna say everything better than I can. I'm not gonna repeat what you're saying. He's my MVP also. But what's the GoFundMe and stuff? We should share.
If I find any of that stuff, I'll put it out on the.
I think I saw it in the Chicago Tribune.
But just Google
that I found out about the whole thing. I'll find it.
I have mine on the tripod, so I don't really want to
fuck
the tripod up.
Okay.
Yeah, no. So, unfortunately, Steve's been dealt this unfortunate hand of ALS, and his health has deteriorated. It looks to be fairly quickly. I know when this show started, we joked a lot about watching Mongo in ring because Mongo was always good for a laugh in the ring because he would do something crazy or chaotic. Or
Mongo Mondays, man.
Yeah, it was a botch or whatever. But, for a guy who had zero formal wrestle training, to becoming a member of the Four Horsemen, to being able to put in on a serviceable match. No, it wasn't a 5-star match. You were never getting a Will Ospreay versus Kazuchika Okada Tokyo Dome 5-star match.
You might get a 2-star match if you were lucky.
Yeah.
But it'd
2
be
stars and Halliburton.
That's what I'm saying. It'd be a hell of a 2-star fucking match for about 12 minutes to whap somebody in the head with a Halliburton. And I mean, that's the thing. It's like it worked. And, he had multiple different roles in WCW. He then commentated for a while, and him on commentary was fucking hysterical.
He was fun on commentary.
I'll say this much, though. He may have been great in the ring, but he seemed to love the business. And that's all that matters in the day.
I mean, I think that's the thing is there's a lot of these pro athletes that come over and music artists that, like Bad Bunny enjoyed wrestling. Like he was a wrestling fan. Like he respected the business, did it the right way. But then you have your Logan Pauls of the world who sit there on a fucking computer chair. And if I never see him again in a WWE event, like it's a day too soon. Like the way I look at it is Steve came in, knew that he was going to be the low man on the totem pole because he didn't know what the fuck he was doing. Put his head down and did the right thing. And, it sucks that this is where we're at with Steve. And it's unfortunate because, I don't think anybody in the world deserves to go through, what Steve and his family are going to go through with ALS and that stuff. And it's unfortunate. It sucks. I don't think there's many other ways to say it. For a kid from the 90s who watched a lot of WCW because I lived in Virginia, it's like I watched a lot of Horsemen. And, to see Mongo with the Halliburton and the fake Jeff Jarrett and fucking Mr. Perfect turning on him and all that stuff, it's like that was a fun angle. And Mongo made that angle entertaining for multiple reasons.
Yeah, he had hands down the 18th best match ever at the Palace at Auburn Hills. It was against Mike Enos.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah.
We're praying for McMichael, obviously.
Yeah.
Anyway, fellas, good show.
I've never heard anyone say a bad word about him either.
No, not at all.
Literally never. And the thing is, he could have been because of how much people kind of make fun of him and stuff, as his wrestling career, up until now, obviously. But the people would look back on it, even Mike said, we've made jokes about it and stuff, But you still, you never heard about him being a dick. You never heard about him being, backstage trouble.
Right.
I mean, he literally went through a divorce with his wife in the company. Kevin Sullivan did that and booked it into a really, creepy angle. McMichael did it and nobody even really noticed. They were on good terms, the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, it's weird, but T's and P's to Mongo and his family.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, fun show. Conclude the bracket. So,
congratulations to the Dudley boys.
Yes.
And by the way, what I'm gonna do also in the coming weeks, maybe we'll see when I have time to do it. I'm gonna take all the pieces of the tournament and make it one big, large omni episode.
I love that for you.
It'll be 3 hours, 4 hours probably, but
So
it's omnibus.
Anybody that isn't watching on YouTube that isn't going to see the first 5 minutes of this episode, because Ernest is actually going to edit the audio but not the visual. Probably next week we're getting our second installment of the draft, the era draft. Ernest is going to bring a guest on. And it's going to be Team Earnest versus Team Bernier and Lopez. And we're going to be drafting the rosters from 1993 94 exclusively. So don't be drafting fucking 19 years in advance because Daniel Bryan's out there. Daniel Bryan doesn't exist in wrestling in 1993, 1994.
Or so you think. I'm joking. They're 12 years old.
So I'll text the official rules in the group chat, and we'll go from there. So tell your guests to be ready because me and Lopez are coming for the victory. Once the draft is complete, I will put both rosters on Twitter, and we will do a fan poll where the winning team will be decided by our listeners.
And by the way, our guest next week, if you're familiar with the Wrestling Podcast, of course, my other show, it is none other than Big Jim, James Neese. He's also the host of the 3 Count Thursday podcast as well. So that should be a fun one. So
Cool.
Follow us at Take 3 Wrestling
yes.
on the Twitter.
Yes.
All right, my phone's gonna die. I gotta go plug it in.
All right, guys.
Okay,
Take care.
bye.
Bye.
Bye.